Welcome back. You're listening to This Week. Now, August can be a deathly month in politics. Just ask Robert Troy, who resigned as junior minister 2 weeks after a controversy broke over his failure to declare property interests on the Dáil Register of Members' Interests. But how much damage has the whole affair done to the government and Robert Troy's party leader, Taoiseach Micheál Martin, who backed him prior to his resignation? Well, we're joined in studio by former Fianna Fáil government advisor and public affairs and communications specialist Derek Mooney. Derek, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. That question first: how much damage has been done by this whole affair?
I think it's not possible. It's impossible to overstate the degree to which this has had cut through with the public. And well, as you say, for the last couple of years, we've had something every August. I think this one in particular has resonated with people. I think people have picked up on this issue because it's about housing. The specifics and the detail of it may be lost on people, and particularly when Minister Troy went on the radio and started listing off various bits and pieces, that people might have scratched over that. But they're looking at somebody who is a minister who also has business interests outside of that as ministry, and I think at a time when politics is not in the highest of regard, when the government is struggling with its popularity and its polling ratings, this had cut through, and I think a lot of TDs picked up on that, a lot of particular Fianna Fáil public representatives.
And not helped either by Robert Troy's parting statement, in which he talked about buying his first property at the age of 20, something which would be unthinkable for most 20-year-olds who are around today.
Yeah, I think that the problem with a lot of this for the last couple of weeks has been it has echoes of times past. It has echoes of a playbook that was used 20 years ago. Politics has changed dramatically, certainly since the crash, but since then. And Micheál Martin was very much seen to be at the forefront of trying to develop this new politics, and I think that's why it has causes him particular difficulties, because where was he on this one? How did this get to this point?
So, I mean, as I mentioned, he backed Robert Troy right throughout this controversy. There was no sign of him having intervened to ask Robert Troy to resign or anything like that. So, what's your assessment of how he conducted himself during all of this?
Yeah, first of all, I've no doubt that Micheál Martin did approach this with every intention of dealing with this as best way he possibly could. I think what was happening is that you saw the Taoiseach. You cannot say that the Taoiseach didn't support Robert Troy throughout all of this. You can't say that he didn't offer his support. You can't say that he didn't try and maintain Robert in his position for as long as he possibly could. You would wonder, did the rest of the government operation do that? And I don't mean in terms of the political parties. In terms of, was there a full court media operation behind this? What often happens is, this is a situation that went on for 2 weeks, and there seemed to be a drip feed. There seemed to be a couple of attempts, particularly on behalf of Minister Troy himself, to draw a line in the sand, and then something would emerge the following day or 2 days later. And therefore you wonder, in terms around the rest of the political operation in government, was there not somebody there just in trying to anticipate what was coming next, trying to get ready themselves for this? How does the Taoiseach come out of this? I think people are contrasting how he stood by Minister Troy till almost the very, very end, and to the very end, in fairness to him, and contrasting that with how other people have been treated, how the Taoiseach and the Taoiseach decided that, not that in terms of like the European Commissioner Phil Hogan 2 years ago, etc. So I think there's a lot of contrasts and kind of going, well, look, what is the yardstick by which this is judged? What is the metric?
And he has another difficult decision to make now, because he has to decide on his replacement. Various names being mentioned: former Minister Derek Leary, James Lawless, people like Niamh Smith, Paul McAuliffe, Christopher O'Sullivan, all being mentioned in the newspapers today.
Yeah, I don't think it helps anyone's cause within the Fianna Fáil party for there to be ongoing speculation about who the new junior minister is going to be. We've been down this road before with people being built up, or been walked up a hill, then having to be walked back down that hill by themselves, and I don't think that helps. So
should Micheál Martin have sent the signals out earlier then, and that there was?
I think it would have calmed things considerably.
A name.
I don't think it's helping in terms of Fianna Fáil's internal dynamics, and things have changed in Fianna Fáil in the last couple of months. That meeting of the 30 members of the Oireachtas has changed the dynamic within the party. And maybe that's been reflected in the fact that the Taoiseach felt that he needed to retain Minister Troy in place at not virtually at all costs, that's unfair, but that he needed to keep him in place, that he didn't want to face this. He didn't want to have to face into people who may be feeling that there's a reasonable chance for promotion sometime when the reshuffle happens. But there are maybe 3 or 4 or 5 people who've been given understandings, and now at least 3 or 4 of those have to be disappointed immediately and have to go back to their supporters and explain why the preferment that they were expecting didn't happen.
All right, well, an interesting period ahead. Derek Mooney, former Fianna Fáil government advisor and public affairs and communications specialist, thank you for coming in to us today.
And that is it from this week. On Sound today was Dave Gibson. Our broadcast coordinator was Ollie Hamilton. The programme was edited by Elaine Devlin. From Justin and myself, Carol Coleman, thanks for listening and have a very good afternoon.